good, y'all? It's CPL Carter. Some of you may know I am in the U.S. I list some of the most common myths that people have about the military that are actually 100% cap. Well, some of them are 100% cap. Some of them might actually have a little truth to them. Like, you'll see. So let me get started with myth number 1. Everyone gets deployed to combat. No. Less than 15% of military personnel ever see combat during their careers. Now, this fact is combined for all of the branches, so the number for the Army and Marines will likely be a little bit higher than that, but it's still nowhere near everyone seeing combat. I know you probably like, how is that possible? Like, isn't that y'all whole job is to fight? Yes, it is the whole point of the job, but there are different jobs you can have in the military. There's a whole lot of individual jobs, and only 20%, if that, are considered combat jobs. The combat jobs are like tanker, artillery, cav scout, combat engineers, the big dogs themselves, infantry. These are the frontline troops you think like when someone talks about the Army and combat. Everyone else is support. They support the battle in some way, whether that be supplies, transportation, radios. That would be me. But just because you're supporting us doesn't mean you're completely out of harm's way though. Like, have you seen Hacksaw Ridge, bro? Like, support jobs can be attached to combat units, and you gonna be there, like right there with them sometimes. Just depends exactly what type of unit you go to. Remember my senior year, like I told some of my friends, like senior year of high school, I told some of my friends I was about to join. A few of them were like, no, don't do it. I'm like, why? Like, why not? And this is one girl, she said, cause you're gonna die. Like, yo, what? Where are you hearing that from? Where you getting that information from? Joining the military is not an automatic death sentence, bro. Myth number 2, you lose all your freedom when you join. Some people be thinking like serving the military is like serving time in federal lockup. It's not. Now, you do lose some freedoms while you're in, I'm not gonna lie, but you can still live a normal life while serving. For example, like the radius around base myth, after work, you can leave base, go to HEB, go do whatever it is you want to do. Some CONUS bases will say stay within 75 miles or 100 miles or just like reasonable driving distance. But that's usually always a commander's rule. Like there's no regulation saying you can't go extremely far from the base and make it back in time for formation. If you are gonna go very far from base, you can put in a pass for a few days, or you can put in leave for a few weeks and go anywhere in the world you want, except probably North Korea. You know, I'd avoid visiting there as a member of the U.S. military right now. Can you imagine being on the little guided tour things they have in North Korea, and they'd be like, what do you do for work? I'd be like, what's that over there? Take off. Now, boot camp, yes, you do lose most freedoms. No leaving base, no free speech, etc. Although AIT is soon to start to flex a little bit. You do indeed lose lots of freedoms in basic training, but that's only for a few months. Complete your training, you get it right back. Now, while deployed, it depends on the location you're deployed and the threat level of that location. So like obviously on a combat deployment, you can't leave base freely. Why would you want to do that anyway? But a deployment somewhere like Europe, like you're able to leave base. Again, like how much restrictions depends on the exact location and like the rules for that location. Basically, the Army just don't want to lock you on base. You just can't disappear 300 miles without telling someone, which is pretty much like how it is for most civilian jobs too, I'd imagine. I mean, 3 were all ripped. You don't got to look no further than me to know that's not true. Although we are like generally more in shape than the civilian population because we have to be. Majority of us have like an average build or slightly above average, like athletic build. And I don't mean there aren't some swole individuals among the ranks. Like I said, like most military members are slightly more strong than like the average athletic person, if you get what I'm saying. And they can typically outrun the average person in long distance. The main difference though is like more mental than physical, because when we have a physical challenge, we don't just shut down and give up so easily like the civilians do. And that makes us appear way more strong than them, but it's really just being mentally strong. Like you're probably gonna quit or give up on yourself way before a service member does. We do have a PT test or AFT for the Army at least. It has to be passed twice a year or like once a year if you're National Guard or Reserve, if I recall correctly. Fail it and you will be able to retest, but you will be flagged. And keep failing it, you may be kicked out. In the Special Forces, those folks actually aren't human. They were created in the lab somewhere. And my source is correct. before we work insane hours. Like most of these on this list, that depends, but for the most part, it is really like a 9 to 5, except for PT. Let me explain. If it wasn't for us doing PT at stupid early in the morning, it would literally basically be a 9 to 5. A 9 to 5 that occasionally sends you on business trips. Business trips that can last 9 months. Or in my case, that one time, almost a whole year. But typically it's a 6:30 a.m. PT, 9 or like 9:30 show up to work. Lunch break from 11:30 to 1 p.m. and get off at 5 p.m. or earlier, depending on what missions y'all got going on. I say honestly, on average, we actually work less hours than someone in a regular 9 to 5, like corporate America office setting. Now the trade-off is them business trips I was talking about. Field trainings that can range from a couple of weeks to 2 months. Random pop-up missions that can range from the same deployments, usually 9 months. And can't forget this one, CQ and staff duty. 24-hour shift, yep, 24, where you sit at the lobby desk and question every decision that led up to that point. So besides early morning PT and those trade-offs I listed, you're gonna work slightly less than a 9 to 5, more likely like 9 to 3 plus PT, especially on Fridays. Like everything though, this depends on your MOS, your job, and the base you go to. So like some jobs and some bases, you can be out there working. And I mean working. Mechanics, you just gotta luck into the perfect combination of still doing like what you signed up for and being able to chill sometimes. You know, if you want the how to sham on the work series. Not just playing. Not less. All right, 5, military is soft now. Military has changed the last 2 decades. Yes, that's true. But it's still not this little easy summer camp that a lot of retirees are thinking. Like you can and will still get smoked. There's still rules like the average civilian will look at, be like, what? I can't walk and use my phone at the same time? For the Army, at least, there's still the field, there's still PT, like expectation. Like it's still the Army. See a lot of retired military types and even some that never served saying stuff like, oh, it's so soft now, like you're gonna lose the next war. Like, buddy, no, relax. We got some people making whole channels like pushing this little narrative. Like, not gonna name no names, but like, you know who you are. If you don't like it, rejoin and fix it. Like re-up or shut up, bro. Honestly, this generation of soldiers, like it's the same as y'all generation of soldiers. We just got cell phones, so we got a little bit more brain rot. But like the overall mission is still getting accomplished though. At mid 6, you get a free Charger, Challenger, or Camaro with each enlisted contract. I mean, it's not even a myth. It's true. 4+ year contracts come with your choice of Mopar. Y'all weren't tracking that already? Mid 6. Basic training is impossible to pass. It's probably gonna feel like the hardest thing you do up until that point. But after passing, you look back like, man, that wasn't as end of the world as I was making it. There are gonna be parts of it that just suck. That's the truth. There's no getting around it. It's supposed to. But promise, if you like put forth the effort, like you're going to pass. Some civilians really be thinking that basic training has some crazy like 65% washout rate. The drills aren't just there to fail you. Wrong. I'll let you on a little secret. I'm close. Listening? It's designed for you to pass. One time for that dude in the way back. It's made for you to pass. Just think like before you even ship, the Army has already tested you physically, mentally, check your records, like criminal history, all that, and make sure you agreed to serving like a however long contract before you got on the bus. So like, now why would they do all that if they thought you were gonna fail? The real like weaning out happens at the recruiting station and MEPS. That is your job application. And then technically like boot camp is your first day on the job. First days, weeks, months of torture on the job. But bottom line, it's not made for attrition like other Army schools, Air Assault School, like or Ranger, where the instructors are looking for who's not ready to commit. Now, those you have a decent chance of failing if you didn't prepare. But basic training, that's exactly what it is. It's training. Now, with that being said, it is still possible to fail, but unless you had some big serious injury, most fails happens like from you getting up on yourself. 7, we get paid crazy amounts. We make absolutely average pay, and junior enlisted ranks actually make less than the national average. But this is a huge, but there are benefits that make you able to be like more well off financially than your average young adult if you play your cards right. I'll break down for you because it's low-key a lot that goes into military pay that like most civilians not even aware of. I grab the glasses. We about to get into the numbers. So like the main key is the benefits. But real quick, I'm explaining exactly how the government like determines how much to drop into my account each paycheck. It's gonna be a quick breakdown, but for the most part, here's how it goes. So there's something called your pay grade, like E2, E4, E8, O3, O5, etc. And these typically correspond with your rank. For example, like the Army, E5 has the rank of sergeant, O3 has the rank of captain, and like so on. Each pay grade has a set amount, your base pay that you get for the month. This base pay changes with how long you've been in too. So like the longer you've been in, the higher the base pay. Like E5 with 6 years in the Army is making more than E5 with 4 years in the Army, slightly more. Like their base pay is slightly higher. Also, the Army pays for housing. So like if you're homeless, join the Army. Problem solved. Because of that, if you have dependents, like i.e. like spouse or kids, they pay for them to be housed as well. So like that is called BAH, is what this is getting to right here. So it's like E5, sergeant and Army. This would be their base pay right here, that number for the month. And this is what that is annually. And right here is where it's talking about the 6 years, which increase your base pay. All right, so I explained it earlier. Yeah, E5, say you're E5 with 4 years. This is your monthly base pay. Your E5 with 6 years, that would be your monthly base pay. And then, like I was saying, like you got a whole bunch of benefits. This is like the benefits part. So then you got your base pay. On top of it is BAH if you have dependents. I'm gonna get into like if you don't. It's right, BAS. I'm gonna come back to this, but that's for like food. For the most part, if you're single, barracks is you can be in the barracks and that's rent-free housing. Right? So you just in there and you don't ever see that like come out your check. If you married, you get extra money on top of your base pay for housing. If you married with kids, you get extra money on top of your base pay for y'all. I pay attention here. Like this is why we appear rich. Either way, you don't have to directly pay for housing. Like you still pay it, but if you're married, like the Army is giving you money for that bill. And if you're single, no kids, it's literally free. Well, free as in like you don't see it leave your paycheck, so you can't miss it. And that's a big bill, like just gone. Like that's a lot of people, especially nowadays, that's like the one that they struggling with. Also for the single, like a Pringle folks out there, food is also paid. So if you're single living in the barracks, no housing and no paying for food. A DFAC or a dining facility is guaranteed to you no matter what, 3 meals a day, just like in prison. All right, so we're gonna have like joining the average 22-year-old in the military, and then just the regular average 22-year-old not in the military, like just graduated college and immediately got a job. Right, so do a breakdown of the expenses. One thing that's gonna be on both their expenses is a house, most likely, like somewhere to stay. All right, so military 22-year-old housing. That bill is paid for. Average, you got to pay that bill. The red X, that's what that means. That means you got to pay that bill again. All right, military food, I'm gonna give slash because it is paid for the most part. Like if you're single, no kids, then it is 100% paid for. If you have a spouse or kids, you get money for the house, but not for the food. But you're gonna have money left over because, like I said, you still got it's on top of your base pay, so you're gonna have money left over for food if you play your cards right. Average 22-year-old. I mean, both of these could be checks if you're living with your folks still, but if you're not, then yeah, you're gonna have to pay that bill again. All right, and medical, you already know that is 100% paid for. Hold up, that's looking kind of crazy. I guess that'll work. Yeah, medical paid for. And if you live in the U.S., obviously, no. All right, they got savings plan. Part of that would be a TSP, and then on top of that, because they're helping you with that, you get financial advice. That's like pretty standard. Like anytime you're in process somewhere, and AER. So if you do mess up your finances, you can take a loan. That's basically like risk-free loan to help you get out of whatever situation. What is going on with my checks, bro? Literally, what's going on with my checks? All right, so yeah, on the civilian world, you got to figure that out. I don't even like, was that 401k or like the other ones they got? You got to set that up, figure that out yourself. And like any advice classes, stuff like that, pretty sure you got to pay for it unless you can somehow find something for free. I would say like utilities, but you still, some place it depends on the base. Some bases you still do got to pay utilities. Like if you live on post, some you don't. Not if you're single though in the barracks. Barracks, everything free. But like I said, you get the BAH changes too. Like if you're in a place where it's more expensive, like Hawaii, you're gonna have a higher BAH. If you're in a place that's not as expensive, like it's like here, low key, Texas, you can have like average BAH. Yeah, there's so many like more. I know I'm forgetting some, but this already should be enough for you to like get the idea, bro. Like you get the idea. So basically, it's easy to make assumptions about something you're not a part of. It's also easy to be wrong about those. You want to hear about the hidden benefits of joining the military? Right here.